right, so should we begin here?
Cool.
All right, so greetings from Portalville. I'm John Miranda. I'm the creator of the Portalville podcast. We're sponsored by Cosmic Horror Monthly, joined by my wife, Jen. She plays the lead actress on the show, August Potts. She's a news reporter. I'm her co-host, Guy Redshirt. Right now, we have Ryan Kruger, director of Fried Berry. It's now a Shudder original. It's won some awards, but we'll get into that.
Several Best Film Awards.
Yeah, so why don't you take a moment to tell us about yourself and your journey making Fried Berry, and like from start to finish, like where your journey went from through awards, film festivals to now being on Shudder.
Yeah, so originally Fried Berry started as a standalone 3-minute experimental from 2017. And there was never really a plan to make it into a feature. It was the reason why I decided that I wanted to make like a bunch of experimental films, because I'm normally known as a music video director in South Africa. So I wanted to have free range to do whatever the hell I wanted to do and not worry about record labels or getting it on TV. So I was just like, you know, even though when I was shooting music videos, I could do what I wanted, I was kind of still in a box, because at the same time, I had to get on TV, but also had to suit the music and all that. And I decided that I wanted to, shoot these experimental films. And funny enough, the first experimental film was the 3-minute short of Fried Berry. And that had not really anything to do with the feature in a sense. Like I said, it was just a standalone experimental, and it was basically just there was no sci-fi element to it. It was just a guy in an abandoned building off his head on drugs, and we just saw his highs and his lows. But then that went to festivals around the world, picked up some awards and stuff, and got some fan art, and it just did really well. And it was weird that we got fan art for a short film, so that never happens. And then it was like down the line where I got to a point also in my career where, for a long time coming now, I've always wanted to shoot a feature film. But, as a independent filmmakers, that's always like the dream for most of us is, to make that film. But, it costs money, and you don't want to spend your own money, and you want to get a studio behind you and all that. But then, I've come close many times, and then it just doesn't happen. So it ends up, I actually went through a bit of a rough, tough time. And when I was down and out, I was just like, what is the number one thing that I've always wanted to do? And it was to make a feature. And I could have shot, I had all these scripts on my desk, and then I got the idea for Fried Berry. And I didn't, I didn't have a script. And as soon as I got the idea, I was like, this is definitely the one to do. And it was more, what interested me more than anything, it was like, I haven't seen this film and it's different. And if you watch this film, it is impossible to forget that you watched this film. So it was one of those, and I thought, well, that's what you want. And the other scripts that I had were good, but there were nothing like too original. There was nothing like really original behind it. I could have easily made it, got lost out there, and as I said, I think with Fried Berry, it's one of those films, whether you like it or not, you're gonna remember it. And I think that's why I thought this is the winning one.
Well, we are glad you persevered with that.
Yeah,
so
really.
It took
Yeah.
So it took about 3 years, you said, from 2000.
No. So literally what happened then was in 3 days, I wrote a 50% scene brief breakdown, which was very just like, Barry does this, Barry does that. And it was just like an overall skeleton structure for like half of it, from beginning, middle, and a bit of the end. So there was all these gaps in the middle. And then, I spoke to my producer and I said, because at the time I was like super like down and depressed, and I just met this producer and I worked with him on one project. So he didn't actually know like how down I was at the time. And I said to him, I want to make this film and I want to make it next month. And he was like, well, why do you want to make it next month? Because, like it's a bit soon. And I'm like, well, if we don't make it next month, it's never going to happen. It's just going to get pushed back like all the other times. It's just not going to happen. And he said, have you got a script? And I was like, not really, but there's a design to how I want to do it. And I want to develop it as we go. And I need to shoot it in a certain way because of the lead actor who's not actually an actor. And I also wanted to have that like organic, feel of it where, majority of films it's set in concrete where this is it, this is what we're shooting. And it's like when I watch a film, sometimes like I press pause and I'm like, what can happen next?
Yeah.
Could this happen? Could this happen? Or could this happen? And it's always interesting to see, when we watch majority films, and the majority of the time it's the two ideas that you thought would probably happen. And with the design of Fried Barry, I wanted to make it really, like unpredictable, that you didn't know which way it was going to go. But anyway, like a month later, we started shooting the film. And, even though there was a lot of improv in the movie from me working with a lot of the other actors, not my lead guy, because Gary's not an actor. So he was the only guy that I didn't want to do improv with because the movie relies on Fried Barry. So I had to like work very, very close with him. But yeah, I mean, all the main dialogue in the film that I wrote and stuff like that. And, we improv'd on set, on certain scenes. But I think that's where, the beauty came out of it. And, where all the like really fun stuff happened that, like I said, nothing was set in concrete. And if you get a cool idea, you go, we can do this. So there was a lot of, it's not like we rocked up and we just started shooting and thinking of ideas. Everything was planned in every sense. And that's why, with Fried Barry, it's a very, the film is all about the experience. It's all about the trip. It's all about the journey, because the story's easy. And I think that's the thing. Like some people watch it and will get more out of it. And then other people watch it and they go, oh, it's just one scene from the next. But there's a lot of depth. And, the design of the movie is to take you on this journey as if you're Barry or going on this journey with Barry. And it's, it's meant to feel disjointed at times, and it's meant to, just take you on this trip. And if you don't go into it open-minded, then it's like you're going to have a bad trip because you're like, oh, I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. But as I said, there's a lot of depth within the film where, we see the dark side of humanity and how crazy, society is. And it's not the alien that's crazy. It's actually all of us that are pretty weird and do weird stuff. So from soundtrack to cinematography to lighting to sound design and the, the way we shot it, it's all designed to take you on that weird, weird like drug trip,
Yeah, I really appreciate the perseverance that went into that, especially when you're in a moment where you're like, I'm really down, to overcome that and be like, I'm going to do something right now. I think that's great.
And that's the thing. It's just like, I think no matter what like career you're in, we always get those, blocks in front of us where we want to do this or we want to do that. And I always say like Nike got it right. Just do it, just do it. And there is no better, it's cheesy, but there's no better advice than just to actually do it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you just have to do it. Otherwise you can't wait for everybody else. And I'm not saying I've sat there in the past waiting for it to happen. I've worked very hard to get where I am, and I keep trying. And I've probably had like 4 or 5 times where something was going to happen and then it didn't. And then I stopped getting excited because it doesn't happen. And then sometimes you just got to do it yourself and not wait for anybody else. And then it's entirely, up to you. So I think, no matter what job you do, and, it's like people that's stuck in one job and they go, oh, this is what I do, but I want to do this. But they might be making good money, what they're doing, but they're not happy, but they want to do that. So are they okay with making less money, which is a big problem for most people, making less money and doing the other job, but being happier? So that's the thing. And it's not hard. Like if you want to do it, you can do it. It's actually, the answer's right in front of you 99.9% of the time. You just got to make those steps and go, right, I'm going to quit this job. I'm going to do this job. And I mean, the other day I had a dream, and it was like 15 years ago, and I was handing in my notice in a clothes shop that I used to work in, and I was handing him a notice going, and I was like I was so nervous to hand in my notice to the manager to say, I can't work here anymore, and I've got to focus on my film career. And that was like 15 years ago. But in this dream, I was like, oh, my boss is gonna kill me. She's gonna hate me, you know. But that was the dream, and I was like, shit, man, that was like 15 years ago. So for the past 13 years, I've only ever done my acting and directing, and that's it, and nothing else. So I'm very lucky to do what I love doing, and you know, I've worked hard to get here, and yeah, and it's never enough. So you always want to do more, and I think that's a healthy thing. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
that you still want to push on, and you know, and do more, and instead of looking at something and going, that's amazing, that we don't need to do anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of which, so you've worked on several moving picture projects, producing, acting. You did a little bit of acting, right? You did music videos, directing roles. Tell us about your favorite role so far, and what draws you into the horror genre right now, or sci-fi, I guess, technically.
Yeah, I think, well, you know, a lot of the time I work, I mean, everything I direct, I produce and write and work with other producers, and then I work a lot as an actor. So, you know, people always say to me, you know, if you could choose, which one would you do? And the thing is, I'll always do, you know, like I'll always do both. But at the same time, you know, when you're an actor, you have no control over your career. You know, you go to an audition, you either get it or you don't, and you wait for the next one. And with directing, at least, I can create content and I'm kind of in control of my career to an extent. But yeah, with acting, quite a few years ago, it was like a sci-fi horror South African film set in America, but we shot it here, called Last Broken Darkness, and director Christopher Santos, and yeah, it was like an awesome film, awesome cast, and I actually played two characters in the film, but the one character I played was like this hillbilly, dirty, like hillbilly dude, but it was like cool. It's always cool to play like a bad guy, and I think in that it was a cool you know, post-apocalyptic style film, and the character was just like, I think as an actor, when it doesn't look like me and it doesn't sound like me, I'm like, I did a good job. That's all right, because it's like, you know, when you look on a family video, and on the day you think, oh yeah, like fucking, I'll fucking look good today, and you've got your clothes on, and you're like, oh, I look cool today, my hair's looking nice, and then you look back on the video or the pictures and you go, not bad, you just look fucking stupid, and you thought on the day that you look really good. So for me, like when it doesn't look like me and it doesn't sound like me, I'm like, cool, that's cool. And it was just like, I had, you know, I dyed my hair black, dyed my beard black. I had these like fake teeth in, and it was just this southern hillbilly guy, which was cool. So I
Cool.
enjoyed that.
So can you do like a country hillbilly
I'm not gonna do it
for us? No.
I'm not gonna do it. That's like somebody goes, oh, what's your favorite song? No, just sing me a little line.
You didn't for your track.
No. Hey, but you made a cameo though in Fried Berry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was in that bar
Right at the
scene.
beginning?
Yeah, and I played a Liverpool. So I'm originally from Liverpool, but obviously in that I put on like a heavy, like Liverpool Scouse accent. But that was cool. It was the scene was actually longer to start with, and then I just made it shorter. But it was like it was a cool little cameo. And like when I do my filming, I always want to try and get everybody in there. So I got my producer in there, I got my DOP in there. So it's always nice, you know, like my film crew is like my family. So I'm always like, oh, we got to stick you in this bit, or we got to put you in this scene. And it's, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's one of those things where, I mean, my DOP was in this one bit in Fry Barry, and he's talking to one of the sex workers outside the brothel. And every time I see that scene, I don't know if it's like a personal thing, because we know it's my DOP. We're all like, we're all like laughing our heads off, you know, because it's him. But it's always fun, you know, putting you know, our crew members, you know, in scenes and stuff, you know.
Yeah, because she recognized you, and I was like, she's like, hey, that's Ryan Kruger right there. I'm like, I thought he was from South Africa. You know, like the.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So my mum's English, my dad's South African, hence the surname Kruger. So yeah, I still get haven't for a while, but I used to get like a lot of emails in like Afrikaans, and I'm like, can you just like say all that again, but in English? So, yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a question too. Did your experience in the music video industry influence the visual style of the Fredberry film?
I think, I mean, you know, there's a lot of people say, you know, some of Fry Barry looks very like music video style. I guess maybe in probably some of the scenes, especially like probably the, you know, the dance club scene. And but it's one of those things that's where any type of filmmaking always, you know, always helps, you know, push you more forward and further doing what you want to do. So I mean, you see, the thing is with me with music videos, the majority of the music videos I shot in South Africa and what I'm known for is narrative storytelling within music videos. So it'll either be a short story or it'll be a short story cut into band performance. But I always hated like shooting band performance because it was just like boring. They do their thing. But I guess so with like the fast editing and cutting and stuff like that. I guess that is. But because I'm known as a narrative storyteller within music videos, I think when you do your first feature like me, it's not that much different, you know, because the music videos I was doing is basically short films. So now this is just a longer film, but obviously I've never spent so much time on one story and one character. So that's really fun to really, you know, go into that and that character arc, and, you know, and just telling, you know, staying on set for like, you know, 28 days of you know, of a story. But that was the other interesting thing with Fry Barry, because you know, we shot the film over a year and a half, but we only shot 28 days. So it was like plan, shoot, and it was better that way as well, because of you know, for you know, the in between of you know, seeing what I've got and what I need, so I can like, cool, we've got this and we've got that. And by doing this, it was cool because I could see like, you know what I needed, what I didn't need. And also I realized by doing that heart of the movie was, you know, was Barry's wife, you know. So there was all these things of like, oh, we actually need to bring her back. She needs to be in the movie more. And, you know, there was all those things that you learn. And there was other scenes where, you know, we could do this and this and this, but the movie doesn't need it. We need more, you know, character development and you know, important, you know, more important stuff like the wife and stuff like that to go back to.
Yeah, I could just really see through like the cinematography and the visuals of it that, you know, you can see that it's unique. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
Oh, cool. Thanks so much.
I think also, I mean, like you said before, this is very unique film, and I don't want to give too many spoilers away because I don't know how many people that'll listen to this have seen the film, but it's not like a typical alien takes over body story. It's almost like you said, like a horror movie. The alien takes the joyride, but they're kind of thrust into our dirty worlds. It's like a horror movie from the alien's perspective.
Yeah, it's just like a genre mashing film, and that's the thing. It's not a standalone horror film. It has horror elements, it has sci-fi elements, you've got all this dark comedy humor you will either get or don't get, and that's it. And I think it's left up to the audience to, you know, to go on this journey, and whether you're going to go on this actual journey. Because the other thing is, like I said, there's a lot of depth in the movie, but also you also can't take it too seriously because it's a crazy, wacky film, and that's you know, the design of it. You know, when I thought of this idea, I was like, the 11-year-old version of me back in the 80s, you know, would be like, you know, growing up in the 90s, you know, when I was watching films like from the 80s, whatever age I fucking was that, you know, I loved those films. You know, I'd love, like, if this came out when I was a kid, I'd be like, oh, this film's amazing. And you would have it on the VHS, taking it to your friend's house. And that's what I did. Like, growing up in the late 80s, you know, you'd get that Nightmare on Elm Street, or, you know, and you'd take it around to your friend's house and you would all watch it. Luckily, my mum and dad wasn't like heavy strict or anything like that, but it was it was one of those things that I just, you know, is what we did and we grew up with. So I also made it for that reason of because I think that's the thing, when you make a film, you got to know your target market, and I know that target market would be me and those collectors and those people that love those cult style films. So that's why, you know, it's like my producer said to me at one point, you know, Blu-rays and DVDs are out, man. Like, we're never going to get this on. I was like, dude, I fucking bet you there's going to be Blu-rays and DVDs, because the people that follow horror and all that, they want that hard copy, because I do. That's what I did. I want those hard copies, and that's the thing. And then as soon as it came through, I was like, yeah, dude, I fucking told you.
Yeah, I remember the VCRs used to eat my VHS tapes. So that's something
that was the best. Like, that was the best. Like, and that's why I put those, like, in, you know, like the intro to the movie, the certification thing. So I don't think you guys. I have spoke to somebody else about this, but in America, the person that I spoke to, they said you guys didn't get it. But in England, every time you got a video from the video shop, there would always be this guy at the beginning going, this film is rated 18. That means nobody younger, and everybody used to go, and fast forward it. Or everybody, your family or your friends, we would all read along with it because we've heard it like a million times. So, and I was just like, it was that sentimental value of growing up in the 80s and having that there. So then, like, that had to be on there. Or at the cinema, which they don't do anymore, is that, you know, the intermission. So it was just like, you know, it was just like,
I got kind of like grindhouse feel to it, you know?
Yeah.
Even more gritty to me to watch the film after that. The intermission.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it implicated it within the movie. So, and, you know, like the adverts that he watched when he was at his wife's place, and then later when he gets knocked out, now it's those adverts again, but he's in it, you know. So it was a clever way of of screening that. Yeah.
So, will you reveal to us your funniest, most surreal, or most horrifying experience in your career?
You don't have to name names, but you can. We can bleep them out.
Okay, no, I've got a good Fried Barry one for a funny one. So when we were shooting the birth scene, that's what I'm going to say. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. So when we were shooting the birth scene, obviously I explained to Gary, this is what we're going to be doing. And I explained to the actress, this is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to shoot it like this. And you're going to be naked. And Gary, you're just going to have your pants down. And we're going to block it like this. And we're going to shoot it like this. So it's like, okay, cool. So then what happened was we were setting up the scene, and that scene was actually in the studio. So we're setting up the scene, you know, the guys are putting the lights up, the DP sitting there, we're just getting everything ready. And then my DP was like, Ryan, like, what's Gary doing over there? So I look, and Gary's completely naked. I don't know why he's naked. He's like completely naked. And he's like standing there, and he's, you know, looking down at his crotch, because we gave him like a sock, sock to wear, but his pants was only meant to be down. He's still wearing his jacket and everything. It's just his pants are down, and from that angle, and we just gave him like a sex sock, whatever you want to call it, so you can like strap it down, whatever. So then he's like completely naked, and he's just standing there, and he's like fiddling around. So I was just like, I go up to him, and I'm like, Gary, what do you do? And I can't help looking what he's doing. I'm like, Gary, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just trying to get this thing. And I'm like, well, dude, what about your balls? And no, the balls are okay. And I was like, we don't want to see your balls. And then he was like, and I was like, and why are you naked? And he's like, I don't need to be naked. I'm like, no, I told you before. I said, why are you naked? And he goes, oh. So he picks up all his clothes and he walks off. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I don't know, because I explained it to him, but he was just like standing there, like completely naked, and he just grabs his clothes and like runs off into the changing room. So
poor guy.
Maybe he just wanted you to know that he was fully committed.
Yeah.
He was definitely yeah, it's just funny. And then the whole balls thing, and I was like, dude, what about your balls? That's all right. Yeah, I don't mind about
fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have a weird question. We're gonna find out a little bit more about you, like what's in your psyche here. Okay, so venturing into the Portalville realm, you are invited to Mr. Sinclair's mansion for a costume ball. Suddenly, the horde is closing in. What objects would you use for protection, and how will you escape? And now, you cannot use guns, because this is like an 1800s show. And this mansion resembles the famous Winchester Crazy Psycho Maze Mansion.
So I would. So if I had somebody with me, aka Barry, I would just probably strap like loads of like steaks to Barry or something, and just use him as the bait, and just like throw him over one of the balconies and try and make my escape, but let him get like eaten. So I've got my, they'll take the bait, and I'll try and sneak off somewhere and hopefully not get eaten like Burke and Aliens, and be selfish and get eaten anyway,
I think Barry would agree to it too. I think he would do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
He would probably do it naked. He'll just throw him off naked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's better than my answer. It's way more creative. I was gonna say I would use like a serving tray as a shield, and get like a punch ladle and strap forks and stuff to it, and just go out swinging.
Yeah, I would use the big metal serving plate just to go down the stairs and out the front door.
Yeah.
That's what I'd use.
Put Barry naked on the serving platter and just push him right out the door. There you go.
Or I can put Barry on the serving table and ride on top of him and go out the door.
Yeah.
Like I can just surf straight out of there.
So when you make it into a movie, just assuming that you will, can Guy and August be extras? Guy's good at dying for free.
I die like every episode of the podcast. So
yeah, and August had an acting class like one time, so there's that.
Okay, you hired. You both hired.
You can buy the rights for that. We tricked you into that question.
You said you're hired.
Oh, good.
Willingly die for free. Would you do it naked? He hesitated.
You've lost the job. You've lost the job. We're gonna have to let you go. I'm sorry.
Well, somebody else. Free. Clothes for free.
Okay.
Who wants to see my butt? Maybe you. Well, I guess, Mr. Kruger, thank you for your time and giving us a glimpse into your world. For those who want to know more about your new film, Fried Barry, what can the fans of horror and Shudder expect, and where can they view this film?
Yeah, so you can check Fried Barry out on Shudder, and we're always having updates of new things about Fried Barry, whether it's merchandise. So you can go check out Fried Barry on Facebook or Instagram, or friedbarry.com, or more information. Same thing on all the social platforms. Just type in Fried Barry, or type in Ryan Kruger or ryankruger.tv, and yeah, all the information's there. And I am releasing more experimental films, which I think if you like Fried Barry, you'll dig some of the stuff that we're sending out. like I have the new experimental now, busy doing the rounds at festivals called #MeowToo. So yeah, you guys can check out more information on Instagram and stuff.
Cool. Now, do you plan on making a sequel?
A lot of people are asking this, and I think I'm going to let it breathe for a bit. And I think a lot of people do want a sequel. If I did, I have got some really cool ideas that I would like to do. And if I did, it would have to be definitely called Deep Fried Barry. That's what it would be called.
Like
and everyone would have 1 month's notice before you had to start.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
Cool.
thanks
Well, thank you
again.
guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it was like fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah, thanks again
Thanks a
for
lot,
joining
man.
us, Mr. Kruger. And with that, have a wonderful twilight.
Thank you.